Sorry about that, folks. That other software looked pretty, looked like it was going to work really good, and evidently it stinks. Getting feedback out there saying it didn't work. I'm on here now. I don't see that anybody's on yet, so I'm going to give it a couple of minutes and go back and check my settings here and see what's going on. Okay, it shows that I'm live there. So, a couple of you will pop on here in a minute. It throws people off when you throw out and schedule a stream and then you have to bail. It gets mad. So there we go. Tyler, all good here. Rick and Kellogg looking good. Hey, good. Boy, you never know if it works until you try it. So, and then you have to back up and circle back again. Hey, Sean, got a funny story for you for the weekend. Would you ever do an interview with Jason Walters? Renee asks. Yeah, I absolutely would love to. I'd like to give that a shot. I like his content. I got him confused with the other Walter guy in California. He's a white shirt and tie guy, and the only thing he says is it's insanity. He doesn't share any data. I would not interview him, and I see people interviewing him. But anyway, the weekend was wild. The Saturday weather was unbelievable. The rains that came down, the wind that was with it, and a couple of the storm cells merged, pounded on North Phoenix. They had a tornado warning and everything. So it was rough. And then today, though, it's only supposed to be 85. Now, for those of you that just moved here, you're going to love this. You sit in like a Target parking lot and watch people walking in when it's 70 degrees, and the locals will be wearing a down jacket. I kid you not. So then you get to play the local game called From Here, Not From Here. So you see people all bundled up because it's 70, and then you see people walking with flip-flops and shorts. They're from Michigan. So we got Renee, got back from Rocky Point. It's fantastic. Thanks for the advice. You didn't go over the speed limit, did you? Because if you did, you're going to get a ticket. So what's going on in this real estate market? Well, I'm saying that the gains of 2022 are being erased. You can see it here. If I go right here, that's January. That's actually February. Let me go up a couple notches down here. January 22, $277 a square foot. Today, $279 per square foot. And that's on the average. And that's what's going on with the market. Now, I put a video out last night talking about the real estate tug of war. And what's happening is the data is clearly showing that buyers are not participating and sellers are staying right there. They are not under pressure to sell. And if more and more that you look at those numbers, it's not indicative of a crash, even though we've got these wonderful mortgage rates at 7.16. Everything is pointing more and more, and there'll be a lot of discussion about this going into the rest of the year, that we're just going to have a very prolonged slowdown. Yes, prices will come down, but when you have a crash, there are some numbers that just jump out at you. And one of them is, list pricing. And the list pricing has come to a certain point. It's staying right there. Now, if we were in a crash where people had to sell, they had to hurry up and move their homes, or they were about to foreclose, that list pricing wouldn't be sitting right there. Could there be some events that make that happen? Possibly. I don't see it yet. But the other thing that we see here was, you might remember, I think it was last week, we were looking at accepted contracts versus back on market. And I had said that I don't see the back on market number really climbing. I see the percentage of back on market versus accepted contracts changing, higher, doubled. But if you look here, you can see that new contracts are down. Accepted contracts are down like 1308. But the back on market is down at 325 now, where it was going about between 600 and 700 units. And why is that significant? Well, people are canceling versus going back on market. They're just saying, well, I'm out. If they can't get the price that they're looking for, they're just pulling back. Now, there are people out there that have to sell. They've got life changes. They need to move, or death, divorce. Those guys have to sell. And as I talked last night, Open Door has to sell. Open Door still has 1,500 homes that they're trying to get rid of. They're not going to turn into a property management company. And so they're discounting their homes. And 1 out of every 6 homes in our market now that's going under contract is from Open Door. And they are losing money, not as not bleeding as bad as they were, but they're still losing money. And it's starting to affect when you look at average sales prices. They're kind of the main driver pulling average sales prices down. If you're looking at one out of every 6 homes. Now, new construction is too. That shows up in the multiple listing service now more and more. And you'll see when I show you the Crawford Market Index how new construction is affecting all the outlying areas like Queen Creek, Maricopa, and Buckeye. But new construction, they are deep discounting and offering all kinds of incentives for you. And funny story. I went to Wicked Rain. Sean, you know that place. And it's a Seattle place. I went there because it was late in the afternoon. And I thought, I think the Seattle Mariners are playing and they're in the playoffs. And they haven't been in the playoffs in 20 years. I'll go catch the game. And I won't sit through a whole game. I like football. I'll watch like third, fourth quarter if I think the game's tight. I like that rather than I just don't have the patience to sit all day. So I go in there and it's ninth inning, 0-0, Mariners versus Houston. Those guys went 18 innings. I wasn't supposed to be there the whole time, but I got sucked into it. And I just kept watching and watching. When we drove by Buckeye, we noticed a few developers breaking ground. Same as surprise. They're still doing that. How'd they get such a large market share? Well, people opted for the convenience. So, it was convenience of getting a cash offer on their home. So they took it. Now, when I look here at the Crawford Market Index, this really shows you, remember 100 is considered balance between buyers and sellers. 2020 onwards, gains need to vanish. Now, they might, hard telling. Renee says, surprise Arizona, huge condo developments and townhouses. Do they have that many buyers? I don't know out there. But we're sitting here looking at this, and here's Queen Creek. They're down at 52.6 on a market index. And if I go to Buckeye, they're down there too. They're at 50. If I go to Maricopa, they're also in the 50s. And this is simply because I'm wrong. They were 58. Yeah. Because that's where all the new construction is. Now, if you go to Cave Creek, here, they're still above 100, slightly favoring sellers, as is Fountain Hills. And it's sitting there at 157. So there's a little seller advantage in Fountain Hills. And I believe in Paradise Valley, we will see the same thing. There we are at 159. Sean, not a bad place to get lost in the game. No, not at all. I like that place. We need to meet there again, Sean. Actually, we just bumped into each other there. So Phoenix is sitting there at right level at 100. So one of the numbers that I shared yesterday, and if you didn't see it, it was canceled listings. And this is just a number that continues to grow. And there are people putting the homes on the market and they go, well, I'm trying to get 525. Well, I lowered it to 510, still didn't get any action. Oh, the heck with it. Let's pull the house. That's what's happening. So canceled listings are getting more and more. Now, in a couple of weeks, you're going to see a huge spike in expired listings because agents write their listing contracts to expire at the end of the month, either 3 months out or 6 months out. I would never sign a 6-month agreement. That number is going to spike at the end of the month. But cancels are just sellers going, well, we gave it a good run. We're going to do that. My wife thought those condos were student housing because we live in Flagstaff. They might be, hard to tell. Remind me at the end of this, we're going to talk about Flagstaff in a moment. But this is what the market is telling us, is that the canceled listings are growing faster and faster. We only have 20,700 homes on the market today. Now, that's a lot compared to where we were sitting. But we were 20,700 last Monday. It's just like we're just sticking right there. But for you sellers, remember at one point, we only had 4,800 homes on the market. But we had 4,100 homes going under contract every 7 days. So over 100% of the new listings were getting scooped up week after week. Well, now if you're a seller, you are in that 20,000 range where there's only 2,200 contracts being written every 7 days. You have to get their attention. Now you can get their attention with good photos. And believe me, agents, I am seeing the crappiest photos out there on $1 million homes. I mean, I was going around looking in Gilbert because I'm going to be out showing homes today, and looking in Fountain Hills, and I can't believe it. They're just hideous. And I'm trying to get a good feel for what the house looks like. And I get really, I mean, you could go $1 million listing. You couldn't hire a photographer. So go to Red Hog Media, hire those people. So they were just terrible. The other thing that I noticed too, and I'm going to get to this cancel listing things here again in a bit. I'm bouncing around like Pat, aren't I? Oh, by the way, Pat got in an automobile accident this weekend. He was driving down his road. He's going about 25 miles an hour. He sees a pickup truck coming off to the left. Pat's just tooling around, looks at the guy, blew right through the stop sign, totaled his Camry. So he gets to work on that today. I'm seeing rentals sit as well. I believe investors will sell if rents continue to fall. We're definitely seeing an increase in vacancy rates, Sean. Whether or not they sell or they think they still have enough margin to keep renting, that's going to be interesting to see. We'd like to see that. I have 17-year air conditioning still working good. If I replace before I put my house up for sale, if you can afford it, I'd do it. That's the one. There's two things when in a sales contract: how's the roof and how's the AC? And because the inspector's going to write air conditioning units at end of life, and they're going to go, oh, we want new ones. Even though when they wrote the offer, they saw the air conditioning units were there. They saw they were old. They wrote the offer. In the inspection period, they're going to try and pull you down. If you can do it, I'd replace them because now you're more competitive. People don't like that. I had a house in Fountain Hills. My air conditioning units were 1973. They were not efficient, but they worked. If rent is sitting because the owner is trying to get a higher price than normal, they can try, but it's just like trying to sell a home. They can wait and see what happens. But the market is what the market is. Would you say it's time to panic? No, there's nothing to panic about. I mean, panic as a seller, panic as a buyer. I think there's really nothing there's nothing that jumps out, folks, that say that we're in trouble. I'm going to try and look up. I got a question here about Chandler. So bear with me here while I try to find this again. It seems like whenever I try to do this live, I struggle. Crawford Index by city, weekly chart. Okay, here we go. Sellers are sweating a little bit. Yeah, I bet they are. And Cato, thank you. My Realtor and Flag says sellers are more flexible these days. That's a good sign, but interest rates are still high. Yeah, that's everywhere. Chandler, here we go, folks. Chandler's right there at that balanced market, 100. So that's what we're starting to see. It's the same thing everywhere. That we've just got this balance. But getting back to the listings, there's realtors cutting corners. I got an offer this weekend. The guy told me I was going to get it Saturday. And then Saturday, he kept apologizing. I'm having problems. The sky slope. I'm not getting it. Oh, by Saturday night, I've got it out for signature. Great. Cool. Sunday morning, here's the offer, Rick. Thanks. Looking forward to doing business with you. I pull it up. I go, I don't see a pre-qualification form on this, which is required. Oh, let me send it to you. So he writes me an offer, and he says it's VA, and we weren't opposed to that. It was pretty much a lowball offer. But there was so much missing on this contract, like my agent code, my agent license number, my firm code, EXP, all of that on the bottom skipped. It includes the washer and the refrigerator. He didn't check that off. It's on septic. He checked off sewer. There was one thing after another in this contract. Then I pull up the pre-qualification form, and it says that they pre-qualify for a loan at 5.99% FHA. You wrote me a VA offer. You sent me a pre-qual form for FHA. And then this morning, he sends it, says, I said, we need this corrected. He sends it this morning and says, my buyer's rescinding the offer. I'm like, okay. It didn't look like it was going to fly anyway. I missed new trash pickup last week. Suggestions? Yeah, don't miss it next week. If you're in Fountain Hills and you put your trash out, the javelinas know it. Javelinas come and knock over your trash can in Fountain Hills, and they want your fruits and vegetables. And you have to put a bungee cord over them if you're going to put them out at night. Then you go out in the morning, take the bungee cord off before, before the truck comes, because they'll knock it over. You'll see them stand up and just knock it over, and there'll be a whole family of javelinas having breakfast and dinner there. A little bit off topic, but not much. Oh, Miriam here says homes in my neighborhood are sitting. Hot neighborhood, not anymore. 10 homes for sale. Yeah, there's only 2,300 contracts being written on an average of every 7 days. And we're getting into November and December. It's going to be even slower. As a realtor, November, December, that's when I finish my continuing education. I think I have 3 more classes to take. We're supposed to do 24 hours in 2 years. So I've got 3 more classes to take. Might as well do them when it's slow out. And while I'm doing my continuing education, I think I'm going to have to look for some better streaming software. But get ready for this. There's a new resort coming out in West Phoenix. And it says it's a $1 billion resort featuring a party island, open in 2023. 6 acres of water. Seriously? That's the first thing that stuck out to me when I saw that. We've got this severe water shortage, and you gave them a permit to build a resort, fill it up with 6 acres of water. Got to ask Jim about that one. That really struck me as kind of out of the ordinary. I also see that LA, the politicians in LA are now talking about how they have to find their own water solution as a city, because right now they're relying on, water from Lake Mead and other sources and stuff. And they are at a critical point to where locally the politicians there are going to have to find something, and find something quick, just for the city of Los Angeles, not the entire basin. So they're in a more and more of a pickle than we are. But I thought that was this is the wrong direction to go, putting a 6-acre water park up. That's for sure. Well, here's what I was going to talk about Flagstaff. As you know, I come out with a Thursday Arizona news show. It's got Pat, Jackie, and Ruby. Over November, December, I'm going to be working on doing that same format, but I want to have an agent from Tucson, Flagstaff, Prescott, maybe Lake Havasu, and Show Low and Pine Top, so that when we update Arizona real estate, we can check in with these local agents. Like the comment we just had on here, my agent said Flagstaff is, blah, 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 right? So I think it would be fun to do, and it'd be a real quick format. We're going to check in with Tucson right now. What are you seeing in Tucson? Boom. Because I get a lot of questions about Tucson, but I don't have access to their data. So I want to find a solution for everybody. Get with Heather Macy out of Havasu. Yeah, if you have any recommendations, send them to me. I want people that are very knowledgeable about their market. I'm going to try and work, and work within my brokerage as well, but I'm not, stuck on that. Send me an email at rick@rickhelps.com if you know anybody that you think you would like me to include in the show, and we will get working on that over the month of November, if not maybe sooner. Also, if you want to get in on my weekly newsletter that I send out on Monday morning, the link is in the description below. So go ahead and sign up for that. We have 22 of you already that have signed up for that. So you got your first newsletter this morning. I'm not going to spam you. You're just going to get the newsletter on Monday morning, and it may show up originally in your junk folder. So make sure you look for that. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, I'm guessing you're here. You didn't find, Cato's making a reference there. I went out to the park out there, Lost Dutchman. I didn't do any gold mining. In fact, I came back a day early because I could see that storm was coming, and I didn't want to be out there hooking up on Sunday in the pouring rain and bringing my trailer back home. So I hooked up. I got home 45 minutes later. I got slaughtered with the storm. So I made a good move, but I came home early without gold. So I hope everybody has a fabulous Monday. Take on the rest of the week. Thanks for bearing with me on my little tech issues. Talk to you soon.